I tricked my brain into losing weight without tracking calories. Despite what the internet wants to tell you, you do not need to count all of your calories, hit 150 grams of protein every day, or follow some impossible meal plan to lose weight. And I am living proof of that. I literally rewired my brain into losing weight, and I want to teach you how I did that so that you can lose weight easier, faster, without obsessing. First of all, my name's Elise. I got started posting on TikTok and Instagram, and I post on YouTube Shorts, but I'm also making long form content now to give you guys more in-depth advice because I lost weight, I glowed up. I'll show some pictures of me before and now. And I just really want to spill all my secrets because I've figured some things out for myself and I just want to spread this knowledge for everyone else. So first of all, I made a very big mindset shift and this really changed everything for me. I started to identify as the version of myself that was naturally skinny, was naturally lean, and just didn't have an issue losing weight. And as someone who was honestly like medium sized for most of my life, even as a kid, this was something that took some effort and some work for me, but I really had to drill it into my head that it was possible for me to also be naturally thin, and that this idea of my body type or whatever that I had was simply just conditioning and a belief that I had developed throughout my life. And I realized that naturally skinny people just had different habits around food and that I could also develop those habits as well. But I had to first believe that it was possible for me. So this really helped me to, it just shifted the way that I showed up. It shifted my mindset. It shifted my desperation level. Like, you know what I mean? When you don't believe that it's possible for you, you feel like very, very desperate of like, I need to force myself into doing certain things in order to force this outcome to come to be, if that makes sense. And I was just kind of over that. So I shifted my identity. So before I get to some of those habits that I implemented, I want to talk about how I reduced my appetite because this really, really helped me to actually implement some new habits that I saw naturally thin people doing. So I made some adjustments to my workouts, some adjustments to the type of food that I was eating, etc., in order to reduce my appetite naturally. Here's just a few things off the top of my head. I started to have electrolytes daily. I reduced the intensity of my workouts, so I was obsessed with heavy weightlifting for a really long time. I would go to failure most of the time, and I decided to reduce the amount of intensity in my workouts, or reduce the amount of intense workouts I was even doing in the first place, and I started walking instead, or doing Pilates, yoga, or lighter weightlifting just in general, where I wasn't going close to failure anymore, and this really helped to reduce my appetite. Also, I start my day with a lot of protein, maybe like 30 to 40 grams of protein. I have a protein shake or a very protein heavy meal at the start of my day, and I put a scoop of collagen protein in my coffee every single morning. And this really helps to just reduce my appetite. Also, like I just make sure I get enough fiber and nutrients in my diet, and that really helps as well. So those are just a few of the things that I've done to reduce my appetite. I can make a whole other video on that if you would like. So then some of the habits that I implemented to become naturally skinny was I just reduced my portion sizes. So I realized that I was eating way bigger portions than I originally needed, and I didn't even realize it. And so I decided to reduce my portion sizes by like 30 to 50%. That really worked for me. I found I was still satisfied after my meals. I also used smaller bowls just to help kind of trick my brain into having those smaller portions. I delayed eating after I got hungry, maybe by like 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the situation. I also just didn't focus on food as much. So I put emphasis on other things in my life. I really do believe that whatever you focus on grows. So if you're thinking about food 24/7 when you're trying to lose weight, guess what you're going to be focused on? Guess what's going to be more likely to happen? You're going to be way more likely to eat. I started focusing on my work, on my content creation, on things like that. And that really, really helped me. Like I'll take myself to a coffee shop and like, I don't want to spend money on random little like croissants or bakery items at a coffee shop. So I'll get myself some coffee and I'll just stay there for a long period of time. And I don't bring a ton of food with me when I go. I just like focus on other things. I no longer bring food around just in case I get hungry, unless I know I'm gonna be literally missing a meal. So that's another thing. I don't know, there's lots of little habits that I had to personally change about the way that I went about eating. I had like a big lack mindset around food just in general, that like I needed to make sure that I was never hungry, because as soon as I got hungry, I would get really freaked out, really panic. And by the time I was around food again, I would just binge. But when you can keep yourself calm, keep yourself busy, focus on other things, and stop thinking that you need to be full 24/7 in order to be safe, then you just kind of don't freak out as much. So also, as a woman, when I'm in my luteal phase or when I'm on my period, I used to tell myself that I like kind of deserved to eat, you know, unhealthy food, processed food, chocolate, sugar, etc., salty foods, things like that. Or if I had like a really hard day or something, I would maybe tell myself I deserve to have some ice cream or whatever it is. I no longer use food as a reward system. I think, again, this is just kind of like a mindset shift. You have to pick and choose the things that you're going to reward yourself with in life. And for me, food is just no longer one of those things that I do reward myself with. Maybe I'll reward myself with like a spa day or like coffee or something like that. I'm just not going to use food as something to help calm me down or anything like that. And that's another thing, is like I just learned to recognize why I was actually eating in the first place. I really try to stay aware of my own emotions, so I'm no longer eating just to soothe myself anymore. And a good tell with this is like, if you're not hungry, you're probably eating for an emotional reason. So pay attention to if you are actually hungry or not when you're craving food. If you're not hungry, ask yourself, what is the feeling that I'm looking for from this food? So yeah, I think just implementing some really small habits and little tricks with yourself can make a really big difference. So if you like this video, please like the video, subscribe. And I also have a weight loss guide where I talk about how exactly I lost weight without tracking calories. I go very in depth in that guide. There's also a habit tracker, recipe ideas, and a 7-day meal plan that's linked in the description below. But yeah, let me know if this video was helpful for you, and I will be making some more videos soon. So let me know what you'd like to see. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching.